You absolutely cannot miss while traveling in Ethiopia is the rock churches of Lalibela. This mountainous landscape feels riddled with mystery and frozen in time. I had seen so many photos of the famous rock churches, everywhere from National Geographic to Lonely Planet, and yet it still took my breath away the first time I saw them for myself. If there was ever to be an eighth wonder of the world, St. George's monolithic, cross-shaped church would surely deserve to win the prize. Unless you're on a very tight budget and have a lot of extra time on your hands, I recommend flying to Lalibela from Addis Ababa rather than taking a bus. If you do opt to travel overland, I highly recommend inquiring to local tour operators about any security issues during your specific time of travel, since conditions can change rapidly in this region. Lalibela can be visited during any time of the year, although the tunnels can get a bit slippery during the rainy season. I highly recommend visiting for the Sunday Mass when the churches are filled with locals adorned by white robes, but just remember to wear the appropriate clothing that covers shoulders, knees, and for women, covers your hair. If you're interested in photography, you should stay in Lalibela for a minimum of 3 days. I stayed here for 5 or 6 days and it barely felt like enough time to see everything. There are a total of 11 rock churches connected by tunnels and caves, and exploring the entire complex was a highlight of my trip to Ethiopia. Again, there are plenty of options for accommodation throughout Lalibela, and it's possible to travel here on a budget while staying at guest houses. Also, most hotels are within walking distance of the churches, so there's not much need for transportation, but if you're feeling lazy due to the elevation, you can always take a tuk-tuk, which are also quite affordable. There is a fee to enter the churches, but it is not mandatory to go with a tour, although I do recommend hiring a local guide for the afternoon to tell you more in-depth stories about its history. If possible, I recommend visiting during one of the big religious festivals throughout the year to see the churches lit up with candles and prayers. Since Ethiopia was one of the first countries to adopt Christianity, the churches here are some of the oldest in the world, and they're still being used today, nearly 1,000 years since they were carved directly out of the mountain. I traveled to Lalibela in April, which happened to be during the time of Fasika, which is also known as the Ethiopian Easter celebration, and I would highly recommend it as it was a